Welcome back. This week we say goodbye to Killick Beach after an amazing time exploring the dunes from sunrise to sunset.
There is a life I lead in this.
Moving always has a strange duality of balancing both the sadness of leaving with the excitement of getting back on the road and the promise of new discoveries ahead. This week we're heading a few hours north to Dorrigo National Park, where we walk amongst an 180 million year old rainforest, discover waterfalls around every corner, and check out the boho town of Bellingen, with its rustic antique shops, breweries, and Australia's best gelato bar.
Wait, hold on, put me together, take me back where I belong. I want it all, I had a feeling but the feeling is all gone.
Hi, I'm Duncan and this is Sophie, and this year we've challenged ourselves to explore this great country of ours.
First stop, New South Wales, then on to the tropical north, following the sun all the way around Australia.
Trying our hand at a heap of things we've never done before, and all the while making videos of our adventures.
Subscribe, and we'll see you on the road.
Feeling is all gone. If I could take you back to my youth and show you what I wish I knew. My will is strong.
At the base of Dorrigo Mountain lies Bellingen, a hippie town with a creative and alternative village feel. This place was good vibes all the way, and we instantly knew that we were going to enjoy our stay here.
Pairing with the light it holds. When I return from my skin and bones, I'm remembering the words you told me. Wait, hold on.
First stop, brunch. What else? The Purple Carrot Cafe with its rustic courtyard came highly recommended. Pretty sure they change up the menu regularly, but if they still have it, hit up the local smoked trout and poached eggs. It was epic. With brunch down, we headed to the Bellingen Emporium. This building's Federation period architecture had caught our eye earlier that morning, and we couldn't resist seeing what was inside. After drawing Sophie's attention to the fact that we had now done 3 laps of every level, I managed to convince her to come check out the local brewery with me. Thankfully, we don't currently live in a house. Otherwise, I don't know if we would have gotten out of there without something, and I quote, that would go perfectly in our lounge room, end quote. Tucked away behind the high street, it's a funky space made of recycled timber, and when there's live music, apparently this place goes off. Unfortunately, we visited post-COVID, which meant that the brewery was only open for takeaways. So, after a bit of convincing, they agreed to sell us a few tins to drink out front in the courtyard. That being said, we're under strict instructions not to sit and to drink relatively quickly. Okay, if you insist.
This morning we got up pretty early. This is our second sunrise now, which is pretty good for us.
Sophie says, we got up for the sunrise, I got up for the sunrise, Sophie stayed in bed, so trying to put that one past us.
Alright, so we've just left camp. Dunk's filling up with fuel and then we're going to head up the mountain. So camp is really cool. It's called Rose's Park Camp Spot. I found it on Wiki Camps, which I'm using religiously to book at everywhere that we stay. The place itself only requires a gold coin donation per night, which is amazing. Good for us, travelling full time, trying to stick to our budget. It's awesome. And it's next to a river, it's got flushable toilets, it's got places to have a fire, which is pretty much all we need given we're self-contained in our van.
Driving up the mountain, it's clear to see why this place is called Waterfall Way, and why this stretch of road boasts the title of New South Wales' best tourist drive. Arriving at the top, we took in the rainforest from the 180-degree views of the Skywalk. From up here, all you can see is a perfect green mat of canopies, which almost hides the scale of what we would discover as we descend. It's like we stepped back in time, with huge trees towering above us, making the forest a few shades darker and a few degrees cooler.
Our eyes are closed when we start this loop on repeat.
We're heading down Wonga Walk, and first impressions are, it's pretty bloody amazing. The scale of the trees here, I don't think anything I capture on the camera is really going to do it justice, but they're absolutely massive.
It's just so impressive how these trunks are so sturdy, and then when you look right to the top, all the ferns at the top and the canopy is swaying.
Time goes fast, but yet so slow. I leave all thoughts, yeah, I let them go.
And at the bottom of all of this, which I would have thought of this as the main event anyway, but at the bottom we hit our first waterfall, which is Crystal Showers.
Yep, Bristol Shower Falls.
Crystal Shower Falls. So I just think it's an amazing place. I thoroughly recommend it, from even just being on this walk for the last 15-20 minutes. It's amazing. So we've heard a couple of big crashes, or one really, really big crash, and then we've seen a couple of trees that have come off and sort of collapsed. And it got me thinking how insane it would be to be here and see one of those trees come down on itself. The sound we heard was ridiculously loud. I'm wondering if we had a chance to actually see one in action. Can't believe there's a whole series of waterfalls. Usually we spend a whole day climbing one waterfall.
Yeah.
Now we're going to see a ton of them on one very nice paved walk. Plus it's really nice to do a walk where we're actually meant to be here, and we're not either not meant to be there and get in trouble and get a fine, or find out that we weren't meant to be there the whole time. So this is a first for us. Stopping to climb inside the occasional strangler fig, so called stranglers because they grow up around the host tree and slowly starve the existing tree to death, leaving behind these crazy hollow trees that look like they're straight out of a fairy tale. If you can't tell by now, I'm fascinated by nature, and although ferns are still top of my list, these guys get an honourable mention. Hitting up the second or third waterfall, for those paying attention at home, we followed the trail behind the falls to a stunning cave that formed the perfect backdrop for a spot of lunch.
Trippy is it when the suspension bridge moves?
I know, right?
You can feel it. Oh, gives you that weird feeling in your tummy.
So in the centre of the suspension bridge, you jump up and down.
It's trippy.
The whole bridge goes for everyone.
It does. And it keeps waving for a while after.
What are you trying to do, sir?
I was thinking about whether I could jump up.
Tell everyone why you made me stop and get the camera out.
It's another jungle swing.
Okay, you gonna swing on it or?
Nah. Oh, I could do this one.
Were you ever a gymnast, sir?
No, not since I was about 3. I think for a good reason too.
We're heading to Dangar Falls now, which is an 8-minute drive from Crystal Showers. It's amazing how many waterfalls are in such close proximity up here. I guess that's why they call it sort of Waterfall Way.
You're good. Thanks, Captain Obvious. I was on a totally different track.
So yeah, can't wait to see what we see there. Sophie's done all the planning, so I've got no idea what to expect.
I keep bringing Duncan to all these waterfalls that have incredible swimming holes in the middle of winter. Because we cannot go to one more waterfall in winter now. Next one we go to, we've got to swim at.
Back at camp, we befriended some fellow travellers who had also taken the opportunity to explore the country in the crazy year that is 2020. We built a fire and shared what we had. Us, marshmallows to make s'mores, and them, an awesome projector with a huge collection of classic movies. Nights like these are the reason we travel.
I can take what I need to get by.
The next day we were up bright and early as we had a big day of driving ahead of us. But not before we squeezed in a quick drive into Bellingen to hit up an award-winning gelato shop. Danny, the owner, was super passionate and creative. His flavour combos were insane. Delicious, unique, and often pretty alcoholic. Obviously, no complaints for us on that one. If you're coming into Bellingen, or even if you're not, the gelato shop is a must and even worth detouring
Hold
for.
on, put me together, take me back where I belong. I want it all. I had a feeling, but the feeling is all gone.